Much our viewers, now we kick off the show. We must congratulate women out there. It is your month, and we look forward to the Women's Day, March 8th, when we will, as a country, celebrate women and their contribution to development globally. My name is Prince Apollo. You can be part of this discussion. Send in your comment, observation on 0701 609906. But let's start with Dr. Gerard Wirewanzala. Talk about the super specialized Lubowa Hospital, which is a project that was launched in 2019, hoping to be completed in only 2 years, that is 2021. That means, as we speak, it is way behind schedule. But again, the funds that have been pumped in also has become a matter of concern. 519 billion shillings so far pumped into that project. But then the most concerning part of it is that almost a big population of Ugandans have started to think that this project is a sham, just because even members of parliament who are supposed to do oversight on that particular project have not been allowed to access the construction site. And it happened again this particular week when the leader of opposition led a team of members of parliament to Lubowa, but they were blocked at the gate, at the entrance. The site is tightly guarded by police and other armed men. And the other issue is about the money that is being also budgeted every budget cycle for the Ministry of Health to supervise a project that is shrouded with secrecy and all that. Make a first shot, and then we dig deep into this discussion.
Thank you very much, Apollo, for that. I think we have been around Uganda for a while, and what I can conclude is that we joke a lot. You know why we joke a lot? These matters keep coming up, over and over again. Mm-hmm. If we are to support private investors to develop, for instance, this lady called Pinetti, who said was going to develop that hospital, I think we need to have a framework upon which other people can compete for such opportunities, and then they are able to deliver on the mandate or on what they are supposed to do. But in this case, we have a practice where people come from different backgrounds for reasons we don't know how they get connected to powerful people, or sometimes brokers. I call them brokers because in this country we have people who have access to some people like the president, to big offices, and therefore they can craft a good proposal, present it to the head of state or any other influential member of the ruling circle, and then they are able to sell the idea. But what we don't usually pay attention to, that so many of these proposals could come up. Some could be in transport, some could be in health, some could be in any other sector, in inland water development. But how do you arrive at a decision to give this level of support to a private investor? I have followed chronologically the issues here in Uganda. We don't have a well-established mechanism through which we can support someone. Every time we just sit somewhere, craft an idea, bring it to parliament, and we say, so and so is going to bring a first-class hospital. And then you see cases of intimidation or excitement. The next day a decision has been taken. Today, if I ask the same members of parliament who are quarreling that they have not been allowed to access that facility, if at all it is there anyway, they are the same people this very year who are passing the supplementary budget. And then they put 2.7 billion for supervising that hospital. So if you don't know that anything is going on what basis are you appropriating that money? And that is why some of these decisions taken are followed by allegations of bribery. You remember when that supplementary budget was passed for supervising Lubowa Hospital, the allegations that MPs had fixed in 100 million for each of them.
Yeah, but this more recent one was rejected. The recent request, supplementary request.
Yes, but I've seen even the budget framework papers for next year, there is again money. Already we have spent 519 billion and we can't see
592.
592. We have not seen what is going on. And the same, for the same facility, I have seen money again in the budget for 2024, 2025 to supervise Lubowa. So at the end of the day, where is this money going? And I think we need to take the people of Uganda very, very seriously, because even Your Excellency, you always bring these investors. Don't we have intelligence? Don't we have people who do the background to know? We saw the same lady, for instance, of Lubowa, attempting to take over the coffee sector. The information we later got was that she has not had any experience at all in coffee. But she had managed to convince the whole country that she was going to develop the coffee value chain. And I believe, basing on the statements of the president in the press, he was convinced that actually she could deliver. So on what basis can we go to the basics and we say, what do we need? What do we need to do before we support private investors? Okay. How do we ensure that people have equal access to public resources instead of the back door? Because we have wasted money. Look at the compensations for South Sudan traders. Okay. Many people lost their businesses, but when we brought the money in parliament in billions, we did that 20 people shared all the money. So you agree some of them are big names in this government.
You argue that we lack a well-structured system
of supporting,
to vet,
yes, which investor? Private investors, yes,
who are going to benefit from taxpayers' money.
Exactly. Go and check the store of Atiak Sugar in northern Uganda. It has become a bottomless pit for taxpayer money. And yet the government puts there more money, but the private investor has more shares. So what logic is there? That me, I put more money and for you have more shares than me who is putting their money.
Charity, talk about the secrecy about this whole project. Now since 2019 when the project was launched, not many Ugandans know what is going on around this project, and even the policymakers, the people who should be doing oversight on this particular project, are not allowed to access the site.
So Dr. Wanzala has just said that we are jokers. Who are the jokers? Us, the people, or the leaders? Who are the jokers? For me, I think the jokers are the leaders.
They are Ugandans too.
Who knows they are Ugandans?
You're questioning yourself.
Because at this rate, you cannot choose to continually see the health sector the way it is, and it doesn't bother you in any way that this is what happens. The health sector story set aside. You cannot continue to say corruption, corruption, corruption in the society. Even somebody sang the song. And it has been ongoing, and it doesn't seem to bother certain people. Dr. Werihe Wanzala has
but for your information,
to challenge us. Yeah, you're going to give me information.
Go right ahead.
What?
Go right ahead.
The Speaker of Parliament herself said, look, we have a role of oversight that is constitutionally provided for. And she put the Attorney General on the spot and said, look, why can't members of Parliament access this venue?
She actually asked the Attorney General to state if the oversight mandate of,
role has been taken.
Members of Parliament has been taken away from them.
That they can stop to assume that they have this role. We elect members of parliament. As a democracy, you elect members of parliament to be the people's representatives. They represent our views. They represent the fact that we want to know what is happening to Lubowa. This is taxpayers' money. So, you know, there are certain things we've just decided to take for granted now. Just don't talk about, just look at it. You know, Ugandans went on social media and decided to trivialize the issue. They said if you don't see it, then you are Abdul, like Abdul in the book. If you see it, then you're not Abdul. And they started saying, what do you see? 3 water tanks. What do you see? A gate. What do you see? Policemen. Of course, now they were trivializing it because now, at the end of the day, they are fed up. They don't know what to say about this Lubowa. But we better get serious. As a nation, we also have to do our own soul searching and ask ourselves, where does this take us? Where do we end as a country? Why would the speaker be laboring to say what they are saying? The opposition went there. They carried all these cameramen. I saw the journalists. They are closed out. The place is surrounded, and it is behind the garrison. And you're saying, how many million have you invested?
590.
And you have it in the next budget. You have it in the next budget framework paper. So it is already assured there is more money coming. Where is that money going? It's being sunk in what? In a hole? And who is the owner of that money? I think we need to question whether it ends up where they keep saying that when they investigate, it ends up in one chair. Whether it ends up in that one chair, this time we better be serious with Lubowa Hospital. If we don't want to just get rid of the whole story of telling us about Lubowa, let's come up with a new lie. Let's come up with the coffee flights. Let's come up with those airports which you're telling us about, Arua Airport, whatever airport, keep sinking it in an airport and keep telling us, okay, we are putting the tarmac, we are putting, and put it in 0 square and say Lubowa has failed. But don't lie to us about a hospital.
Richard Baguma, what is so special about Lubowa specialized, super specialized hospital project that Ugandans are not allowed to know what is going on when actually they are the principal funders of this project?
You guys are the ones who make it special. There's nothing special. No, there's nothing special about it. You guys are really working very hard to make it special. You are also being dishonest. The money is passed by your representatives. They are representing you. It is debated on the floor of parliament. So,
but they are the same people now asking.
So if you move as the leader of opposition to go to say you're going to check on Lubowa, you are not going, you know you're not going to enter. You know very well you are not going to enter.
The question is why?
But you are going so that you can put it on the debate table right now.
Which
and
is,
you achieve that.
Which is okay.
I am not saying it's not okay. I am saying that's the reason. The reason was not that you knew you were going to enter. You knew you were not going to enter. But it is your way of putting it up for debate again. And you can say, tick, that is successful. Because you know, when you go to Lubowa, there is a hole in the gate.
Yeah.
That's the one you speak through. It is there. The Prime Minister has been to that hole, the Minister of Health has been to that hole, the Permanent Secretary for Health, all powerful. So you, the leader of opposition, you are going to go beyond that hole, really? I mean, so let's not behave.
That is why I ask you.
Let's behave as if we don't
What
know.
do you think is special about?
I told you,
Lubowa, that
you guys
people,
who think it is special.
even leaders, will go and look through the hole.
It is you guys who think it is special. I do not think it is. No. I saw the other day a Chike journalist using a drone. Yeah, there is nothing special. This is. You see, for us to sit here and pretend as if we don't know, for me is what I don't agree. If somebody comes and tells you Pineti is me, and has invited all of you at a public gathering with the national television live on air. And then we come and say, who is Pineti, who is Pineti? I don't want to be part of that.
So you are being more realistic.
So when we're, why do I live unrealistically? No.
But I think I need to agree with Richard, because where
But
does
I can also say this: there is going to be a health unit in that at that project. It will only come beyond the time people expect it and beyond the budget.
Okay.
But there is going to be a health unit there.
Not super specialized.
I don't know whether it is
Hospital.
specialized. There is going to be a health unit at that spot. People will go there for treatment. It will be higher in budget than was anticipated. A couple of times higher, and a couple of years later. What is new about that? What is new?
What does now that mean to a country that is meant to be run on constitutionalism, accountability, and rule of law?
But I like the way you have picked the phrase, meant to. Why didn't you say a country that is run? So I agree with you, meant to and is are different things. We can't sit here and say we don't know. This is the quarrel I have with us. Here I was saying the same thing on another. I said we know who, we know what is happening, and we know we shall put the money in the budget framework paper, and we know we shall pass it. We can first be like a kid who you say come, will go, and says I am not going, but you know the kid will come. And so that's why we tell you, Charity, that's why we tell you some of us you are Abduls. If you can't see that, you are Abdul. How can you say you can't see?
So, Baguma, a few weeks ago we were discussing ghosts around this country, and you testified of knowing much about ghosts in the history of this country.
What I know about ghosts.
Does it
Ghosts that
qualify?
I told you about.
Does this project qualify to be a ghost enterprise?
This is what I told you about ghosts. The much I know. I said we are going to be back here. Bring the recording. We are going to be back here discussing ghosts. That much I know. I know very much about that. That we are going to be back here discussing ghosts, aren't we? But we are going to come back here
Again.
and again discuss ghosts.
Dr. Jedediwere Wanzala, in the line of good governance, transparency, accountability, and what does this mean? If Baguma says, indeed, this is it, it's another ghost enterprise, and then the secrecy, this whole project is shrouded in. What does it reflect now?
Yesterday,
First of all, which secrecy? There is no secrecy. You know the money that has been spent. 592 billion in promissory notes. I don't know whether it was spent, but it is promissory notes. We know. We know it was launched publicly on the 1st of June 2017. We know the ones who launched it. We know the company that put their equipment to and removed it. We know even the names of the people who are there guarding it. I heard the leader of opposition the other day, officer so and so. Don't you think you are breaking the law? So what is secrecy?
Okay, to correct the record, yes, it was launched in 2017, but the project handed over to the contractor in 2019. Dr. Gerard.
Yeah, what corruption does usually of this kind of nature is to erode the public trust in state and its institutions, including the leaders. Sometime back, I brought you statistics here that were made by Afrobarometer, that only 29% of Ugandans trust a word from a member of parliament of Uganda. 29%. And when it came to the president, only 32% of Ugandans say they can't trust any word from their head of state. This is dangerous. It means the people are moving to the left and the leaders are moving to the right. So at the end of the day, people look at governance institutions as not part of them. And that is why it translates into the electoral processes. Like my sister here, who has done a lot of election monitoring, will tell you that currently in the current Uganda, in elections, people will come and say, no, we take the bribes now today because we know they are going to deceive us. They are not going to fulfill anything. So we have to eat our cut in advance. So as a process, this threatens the survival of the state. Yesterday, I was watching a video which was backdated. That was a recording of the Sejusa, David, when he was trying to labor to explain how corruption is going to destroy the Ugandan state. In his video, he tries to give the example of a time when they believed they had 57,000 UPDF strong force. But when they did an evaluation in all divisions and units, they discovered that actually they only had 26,000, less than was half of what they expected. Do you know the implication of that on security of a country? Now, when we play with resources of people, we are playing with lives, we are playing with the sustainability of a government, we are playing with the relationship between the people and the state, and we are also playing with the survival of the state itself. So it is something that is very serious that we have to think about as a country.
As a country. And finally from you, Richard Baguma says that at a time T, this facility will be delivered. And again, he classifies this project under ghost projects that have happened before.
Actually, he has downgraded it that we may see something, but it may be a health center. And that is already erosion of trust. He's one of the, it is a demonstration that many Ugandans do not trust what their leaders are doing. If he's here, he has all access to information. Now, how will you blame someone from Bubutu there in Amisid who doesn't trust?
Do you also agree that this is a ghost enterprise, a scam, like others that have come before?
Haven't we seen in this very region, even if we go to Tanzania, to Rwanda, you can go and find a specialized hospital of $60 million. Ours is estimated to cost
170 something.
Actually, it will reach 300 and something million dollars. And it will not be equal to some of these we see. Go and see Mulago. We have now a center of excellence in the Cancer Institute. It's almost the best now in the region. But go and see how much they spend, what is there, and then what we are spending at Lubowa.
Yeah, actually,
you will see
it is said to be one of the most expensive hospital projects in Uganda.
Absolutely. And to me, that shows that the joking is still going on, and it's not about to stop.
Charity, Dr. Weri talks about the joking. I don't know if you agree that we are joking, and who is joking?
You know, the IMF and World Bank are two arms, international arms that finance many African countries, and Uganda is not any different. And they provide what they call financial assistance and financial advice for you to utilize funds sufficiently. One of the things they keep propping up in their documents is zero tolerance to corruption. And Uganda had been on that AFT red list for corruption and bad financial management.
Yeah,
we just fell off that list this past week. But we fell off the list because we kept explaining. We had to keep writing reports to these frameworks to explain how money has been used. And we had to justify every shilling that we had borrowed and used. Now here we are with Lubowa. If you see, we do not finance the budget in Uganda entirely from taxes. But even if we were going to finance it entirely from taxes, think of your ordinary Ugandan. You've taxed them, and they want to have something they can say or hold on to and say, my tax has amounted to this, but it doesn't seem to come through. So we are at a crossroads in terms of financial management and the image of the country in terms of corruption. And the political will to fight this corruption is 50-50. At one point, we are going to get all these Mabati thieves, we are going to finish them, nobody is going to stay in cabinet. Before you know it, they are there, they are happily, they are running their business as normal. Then there is a rumor started. Every time it is about to be anything, a rumor is started. There is a cabinet reshuffle. It is coming, and the Mabati thieves will be the first ones to go. They are now in the shrine. They are now in heaven. They are now on earth. All these things are happening to try and justify the question of corruption. Then you see the Auditor General's report, and look at this report annually. The president even sits with this report himself. And he says, now this time I'm not going to allow this at all. He was launching the NRM roadmap in Chadondo.
Yeah, he said they will face 7 years in prison.
He said
They
anybody
engage in
who
corruption.
touches funds, even those of NRM, who is not, you know, who is not accountable, who is corrupt, you're going to see my wrath. So you see what I'm telling about the 50-50.
Preaching water and serving wine.
So there is 50-50. Now what do you want the public to believe? One. Two, the international community for whom you are in bed with on agreements of supporting your budget framework papers. Part of the things we suffer.
So you agree with Doctor that it is also counteractive and counterproductive to the state, the survival of the state.
Yes.
That indeed it affects the image abroad. Leave alone the taxpayers who will always be grumbling. But even the image abroad will be tainted, continually tainted, as these processes, corrupt practices go on.
And that's true. I agree with him. But then on the grand scale of things, and I think this is what Richard is calling us to think about, that if you read a man called Karl Marx, Karl Marx came up with a theory called Marxism. And Marxism is the mother for capitalism. In this theory, he puts classes. He says there's a top class, there's a middle class, and there is the lumpens, or the rank and the file, the low class. And he says that, you see, the middle class always looks for survival. It will make sure it survives under all circumstances, and it oscillates between the lower class and the top class. But the top class is always playing politics on the minds of this middle class and the lumpens and the lower class. And that politics, they know how to ensure that they keep you within that conundrum. And that's the conundrum we find ourselves in. Animal farm. Some animals are more equal than others. 2 legs good, 3 legs bad. We find ourselves in that conundrum of animal farm.
Our flight will be going for a break, and when we return, the issue of the standoff in the National Unity Platform, with the Honorable Mpuga being the more recent victim of infighting within the NUP, will be top of our agenda. But again, we can agree, the panel we agree that indeed this is another ghost enterprise we see?
I will not agree unless you define for me ghost enterprise. But what I will, my own conviction is that it is a channel of money. If it becomes too unpopular, that channel will be,
but you see,
that
Richard,
channel will be closed and another channel will be open.
Richard, as you blame Parliament for appropriating this money, I remember the Budget Committee of Parliament.
I did not blame.
The Budget Committee of Parliament recommended that this project, the financing to this project should immediately stop. But the Minister of Finance keeps financing them, giving them, giving them money. So it's.
I am not blaming. I am only pointing out what happens. I'm only sharing what I know happens. That this money appears in this budget. It is appearing in the next year's budget, and we shall be coming and discussing it.
Well, the dialogue, we go for a short break. When we return, we look at these and other big stories. The panel is here. Let's go for a break.